Hello and welcome to the Newscentre. I'm Shireen Bhan. The government has notified new rules to regulate online gaming companies and protect users. The rules define an online game as one that is offered on the internet and is accessible through a computer resource. More importantly, only games that allow a user access after making a deposit in either cash or kind is considered an online game. Further, the user must make such deposits with the expectation of earning winnings, which can also be in the form of either cash or coins. So any platform that offers a user access to one or more such online games will be classified as an online gaming intermediary. The rules say that both online games and intermediaries will be governed by self-regulating bodies, which will determine whether the games or the intermediary are permissible. Broadly, a game will be permissible if it involves will not be permissible if it involves the element of wagering or betting of money. Remember, these rules come even as various state governments have moved in to bring their own rules to clamp down on online gaming, which involves betting and gambling. Tamil Nadu and Karnataka have tried to pass legislations to ban games like online rummy and poker. The rules also mandate intermediaries to spell out withdrawal and refund policies and put in place privacy policies and safeguards. They must also ensure a robust KYC mechanism to prevent online games being used to launder money. Let's listen in to the Minister of State for Information Technology.
We are dealing with essentially a framework that allows for all online gaming to be determined as permissible or not by a self-regulatory organization. Permissibility will be determined by simple principles of whether wagering is involved, and if wagering is involved, then the SRO would be in a position to say that those online games are not permissible. The moment an online gaming trespasses into involving betting and wagering, regardless of the core content of the game, then it falls afoul of these rules.
Well, that is the Minister of State for Information Technology taking us through the rules that have been notified by the government today. Joining me now are Roland Landers, the CEO of the All India Gaming Federation, Trivikraman Thampy, the CEO and the co-founder of Games 24/7, and Deepak Gullapalli, the CEO and founder of Ace23. Gentlemen, thanks very much for joining us on the program. Roland, let me start by asking you, the draft rules were put out for public consultation at the start of this year. Since then, there has been some feedback and there have been comments that have come in from industry. I would imagine that you've only had a cursory look at the final notification that we're also going over in real time as we speak. But on balance, what do you believe the implications will be for the gaming industry?
Thank you, Shireen, for having me. I must qualify that my comments are based on the press conference of the Honorable Minister a little while ago. And we will comment further once we see the the official gazetted notification. So as the oldest, largest and the most diverse industry body for online gaming, we are grateful for the MeitY to, for coming out with these rules that regulate online gaming under the IT Act. And we hope that these rules will provide certainty with stability and reduce state-wise regulatory fragmentation. So as AIGF, we are extremely happy because the first consultation, as you mentioned, happened in June. So in quick time, in almost 7 to 8 months, the draft came out in January, and here we are today with the final rules. So we think it's a great move for the industry, and this will also give certainty to the online legitimate games, including pay-to-play gaming, and that is clearly differentiated from online betting and gambling, as mentioned by the Minister.
Absolutely. And yes, the hope is that this will, in a sense, provide certainty as far as the playing field is concerned. But we will need to see whether this is going to be something that state governments will follow through on. Trivikraman, let me come to you now. And let's look at the specifics of what the final notification is saying. It says that the online real money game does not involve wagering on any outcome. And the online gaming intermediary and such online game is in compliance with provisions of Rule 3 and 4. So essentially, as we just heard from the Minister as well, saying online wagering will run foul of the rules that have been notified by the government today. How do you see industry reacting to that? I'll come to play in just a second, but I wanted to get your comments on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think our understanding of wagering on outcome, and I would speculate and say that's likely the understanding of the entire industry, is basically that wagering on games which are purely outcome based and do not involve any performance of the user. For instance, roulette, where you're just betting on or wagering on whether the ball lands on number 3 or 5 or 7 or whatever that might be. Those are the games that I think these rules will not allow. And I think that kind of clarity and the fact that the games that are allowed, which are not allowing for wagering and betting on outcomes, specific outcomes like that, the games that are not doing that, being registered by certain self-regulatory bodies or self-regulatory organizations, will help solve a number of problems, actually. Number one, we've had a significant problem with offshore operators that are offering all kinds of illegal games inside the country. And now these games are obviously not going to be registered by any of the SRBs, which will ensure that customers understand, which games are blessed by the government as legal and which aren't, because I think most SRBs will probably come out with some sort of seals or registration marks that you have to carry on your game if it's been registered by the SRB. The other thing that I think it's going to solve for, we're really hoping it will solve for, is, as you brought about, a number of states initially introduced laws to ban online games of skill.
Yeah.
And one of the issues raised by at least some of the states has been that these games are hard to regulate. We don't know if there are bots in the game or if the RNG works well or not. Those are all things that now the SRBs can ensure that these games are actually kosher. They're running the way they're supposed to. There are no bots in the game. The RNG works as it's supposed to. So some of the concerns that the states had, which led them to ban games of skill, should really go away now. And with the center taking the lead on regulating games of skill, we are very, very hopeful that we don't see more such laws coming out from different states.
Well, that certainly is the expectation of industry, but we will have to wait to see. But Deepak, the notification does away with this game of skill, game of chance, which, by the way, is again a contentious matter, even as far as the GST issue is concerned. But I'll get to that in just a second. Let's talk about this self-regulatory body that the government and this notification talks of. 3 to start with. They can, enhance this number. Now, here's what the notification says. The SRB is an entity that is a company registered under Section 8 of the Companies Act. Its membership is representative of the gaming industry. Its board of directors is comprised of individuals of repute who do not have any conflict of interest and possess special knowledge or practical experience. Then, of course, they go on to talking about other criteria that the SRB individuals who comprise of the board must conform with. But the SRB now, it seems to be that the SRB will give the final sign-off as far as what will be permissible and what will not.
Yeah, I think the definitions are pretty clear in terms of the skill games of chance. There's been a very long history in this country with Supreme Court various rules. I think these rules, what they're going to do is to make sure that genuine games of skill are being offered in this country, and B, the consumer safety is being taken care of, because these games, it involves financial transactions, and customer security and safety is also important. And it's very important. We welcome these rules because though they have given the ruling that SRBs have to decide what games are skill and games are not games of skill. But it is also important to note that these SRBs will function under the government, and government will have to ultimately approve it, right? And we would welcome such a decision, and it's much easier for enforcement of these rules in the country. We've seen in the Western world that such a structure really makes it easier for the enforcement officers to actually make sure that companies are following all the rules. And I personally think that this is the best structure that the government has come out and much needed in today's world.
Okay, you believe that this is the best way forward. Roland, I want to come back now and talk about the issue that you brought up, and that is, the pay for play rule. And the government is essentially saying that, look, you need to adhere to KYC norms, something that Trivikraman was also talking about, how that becomes imperative because you do have offshore operators functioning here in the online gaming space. Also goes on to say things like an online gaming intermediary shall not finance by way of credit or enable financing to be offered by a third party for the purpose of playing online games, etc. What do you make of what the rules say on this front?
Yeah, so, the way we see it at the AIGF is that this is a decisive first step for comprehensive regulation to follow. And what this will do, propel the industry, the Indian industry, to compete globally. And this has been envisioned by the Honorable PM on several occasions. He has mentioned this also. The other thing is that the rules provide, for complete legitimacy. Now, it also giving us the opportunity to, as I said, to compete globally. Now, we look forward at the AIGF. Obviously, we will be putting forth the application for the SRB. Now, the thing is that we look forward to assisting the industry transition to the self-regulatory model envisioned by the rules. And this we've been already doing this for several years under the All India Skill Games Council, which is the oldest and the largest voluntary self-regulatory body determining games of skill and differentiating those from, those are especially the offshore betting and gambling. So we think that, this is going to be a great step. And the KYC norms we've had, the interaction, the industry consultation with the Honorable Minister and the team at METI, where we did give some inputs on, we are waiting to see the final rules, but, possibly graded KYC, starting with, a basic KYC leading up to a full KYC in some cases. And likewise for the other guidelines that have been set out, I think this is in sync with what the industry and the AIGF had asked for. And so we look forward to, those rules being implemented under the SRB.
Right. We will, of course, have to wait to see when these SRBs 3, which is what the government is planning at this point in time, do come up. But Trivikraman, there has been a fair degree of consultation, and these rules that we're discussing today are a result of the stakeholder feedback that the government has got. Now, I want to understand from you, whether it's KYC or it's the SRB structure or what qualifies as, online gaming, etc. Does it allay most of the concerns that the industry had? And does it now also provide a clear path as far as investors are concerned? Because that has been a question mark as well on the future as far as this industry and this business was concerned.
Shireen, that question's for me. I'm sorry.
Yes, for you, Trivikraman.
No, I think, I mean, this is, I think Roland mentioned this, Deepak also mentioned this. This has just been pretty phenomenal for the industry. As Roland said, these discussions started in June. They published draft rules in January. I think it was a very, very inclusive process that the government adopted. Everybody in the industry was able to send their inputs, their feedback. And then the Honorable Minister and the Ministry, METI, basically organized a live session where industry members, and others were invited to present their views. And I think, we don't, again, just like you, we haven't seen the final draft rules, but given how the process was and how inclusive it was and how our feedback was taken, I'm expecting that it will address most of the concerns that the industry had raised. Irrespective, I think this is a giant first step. I think it creates a lot of predictability in the industry, particularly for, as you said, investors. I think this is going to bring more capital to the industry. This is going to create more startups, bring more entrepreneurs, just going to drive a lot more growth. And it is, as Deepak said, like a really awesome first step. Is there going to be more work beyond this? For sure. As Roland said, I think the eventual goal is to get to an online gaming law. But I think this is a great first step. And as we go along, I think the industry will work closely with the ministry, keep providing them inputs. I think the ministry is also going to learn more over time about the industry itself. This is the first step, as I said. And you know, I think we're really, really looking forward to working in a more certain, more stable regulatory regime as opposed to the regime in which we operated until now.
Well, we will take a break but continue the conversation on the rules notified by the central government on online gaming. We'll be in conversation with the Minister of State for Information Technology, Rajiv Chandrasekharan, right after this.